You guys, welcome to Sick of Pricks, a type 2 diabetes podcast. I'm Mary, your diabetes bestie. And today I want to talk to you about something that I genuinely did not think was real for a really long time. The fear of success. It's January. We're making goals for the year. Whether you call them resolutions or you call them goals, it really doesn't matter. We're all working towards something, whether it's health-related, job-related, finances, relationships, whatever. So we're talking about the fear of success. What happens when things start working? And before we really get into it, I want to share from my own health journey how this fear of success showed up for me. I went on my first diet when I was 15 years old. I am about to be 48 in a couple of months. That's a really long time to be focused on shrinking yourself, like a really long time. And I would see, especially in my adult life, I would see results. I've lost 100 pounds multiple times in my life. And just when I was getting close to the goal line, I would stop showing up. I would miss a day at the gym. I would binge. I would self-sabotage. And it took me a really long time to figure out this pattern of behavior. I would get close and pull back and get close and pull back. And once I really started digging deeper into why I am the way I am, I realized that I was really struggling with who I would be if I wasn't actively trying to lose weight, if I wasn't actively on a diet, if I wasn't actively trying to be smaller. Who would I be? Would I even have an identity outside of weight loss? Turns out, yes, I do, by the way. I've been in maintenance almost 2 years now, which is still a strange place to be. So we're going to dig into why we do this, why it feels a little insulting, honestly, to say you're afraid of success, because obviously you want the thing, right? You're working so hard, you want those results. So why? Why do we feel this way? Okay. It's kind of like, it sounds like a fake problem, but honestly, it's not that we're afraid of things going well. We want the better numbers. We want more energy. We want to stop feeling like our health is this constant uphill fight, right? We want the consistency. We want the peace that comes with feeling good. And we just want to feel normal. Okay. So the idea of success, like I said, it kind of seems a little crazy. But here's what I learned. Wanting something and being comfortable with what happens when you get it are two completely different things. And nobody really prepares you for the second part of that, the when you get there part. So for a long time, I thought my issue was motivation. I would tell myself that I was just not a consistent person. I always fell off, and that I was really good at starting things, but not really good at finishing things or sticking with them. And I carried a lot of shame around that story that I was telling myself. Like, why can't I just do the thing? Why can't I just keep going once I start? Why does this feel so much harder for me than it does for other people? But when I look back with a little bit more honesty and a lot of compassion for myself, I can see something really important. And it's that I wasn't quitting when things got hard. I quit when things were working. Because the fear of success doesn't show up like fear, like you're afraid, like you're, going skydiving afraid. It doesn't come with a panic attack or a rapid heartbeat. Sometimes it just shows up as being cautious or realistic, or it sounds like you're protecting yourself. You say things like, let's not get too excited, or you say things like, we're not going to jinx it, or this probably won't last. And the thing is, if you've been disappointed before, that logic makes sense. You want to protect yourself. You've learned that getting your hopes up hurts. So your brain thinks it's helping by keeping your expectations lower. The problem with that is that same voice is often the thing that makes you pull back right when something starts to click. You stop doing the thing that was helping. You loosen the routine that was working, and you downplay the win before you even let yourself celebrate it. And this gets even trickier when diabetes is part of your life, because success with diabetes doesn't just feel like success. It feels like a lot of pressure. Like you see better numbers and immediately you're like, okay, but how long do I have to keep this up? You feel better physically, and part of you braces for the other shoe to drop. You find a rhythm with food or movement, and your brain jumps straight to what happens when this stops working. So instead of enjoying the moment, you're already preparing for the fall. Failure, as much as it sucks, is familiar. You know that story. You know how to survive that story, but success is unfamiliar, and unfamiliar feels unsafe, especially if you've lived in survival mode for a long time. A lot of us don't realize how much our identities are built around struggle. Being the one who's always restarting, always trying again, always working on it. That identity is exhausting, but it's familiar, and familiar feels safe. So when success starts to show up, it doesn't just ask you to change your habits, it asks you to change how you see yourself. And that is uncomfortable. Because, like I said in the beginning, who are you if you're not the one who's always starting over? Who are you if this time actually sticks? Who are you if you don't quit? That is not a small question, you guys. That is a complete identity shift. And that is something that takes work, and it takes a long time, and it's not going to happen overnight. Identity shifts can also come with grief, even when the change is good. We don't talk enough about grieving the version of ourselves who lived in that chaos and or survival mode. That version kept us alive. That version got us through some really hard things. Letting go of it, even partially, can feel unsettling. So sometimes we drift back to what we know. And that's not because we don't want better. It's because that better feels uncertain. Fear of success, like I mentioned before, fear of success doesn't say, I'm scared. It says, let's slow down. Let's not commit too hard. Let's wait and see. It tells you this lie that sounds really, really convincing in the moment. It says, if I don't fully commit, I can't fully fail. But what it doesn't tell you is that staying halfway still costs you something. It's momentum, it's confidence, it's that trust in yourself. And here's where welcoming success starts to really matter. Welcoming it doesn't mean suddenly feeling confident or calm or sure of yourself. It doesn't mean you stop worrying or that you magically trust what the future holds. It just means noticing when your instinct is to flinch and choosing not to. Welcoming success is less about the hype and more about staying present. For me, it started with catching my reactions when something worked. Instead of immediately asking, okay, but how long will this last? I practiced saying, let's just sit with this and see how it feels. Because with diabetes, success often feels conditional. It's like on shaky ground, like one sudden move and it all falls apart. Like it could disappear at any moment. So welcoming success means letting a good week be a good week without wondering if it's still going to be a good week 3 months from now. Letting better numbers just be better numbers, and letting better energy just be better energy. Not a promise, not a sign your name in blood on a contract, just information that you're noticing. Another part of welcoming success is letting it gently challenge the stories you've told yourself about who you are. Maybe you're really not bad at consistency. Maybe you're not someone who always quits. Maybe you're not doomed to start over forever. That doesn't mean you have to replace these stories with forced positivity. We don't have time for being fake, okay? It just means creating a little space for something else to be true. And with diabetes specifically, welcoming success often means redefining what success means to you. Because Success with diabetes isn't perfect numbers. It's not never struggling. It's not doing everything right. Success might look like noticing a pattern and adjusting instead of disappearing. It might look like catching a high and responding instead of reacting. And it might look like realizing something isn't working anymore and changing it without feeling that shame and guilt like you're doing something wrong. Those are all successes. And welcoming that kind of success means letting go of the idea that it has to look impressive for it to count. It also means practicing your staying power, not practicing how intense you are, not your motivation, just staying. Staying with routines that feel boring but supportive. Staying connected even when you're not crushing it. P.S. That's when you need it the most. Staying in the conversation with yourself instead of ghosting your own needs. A lot of fear of success comes from believing you have to maintain it at the highest level forever. But welcoming success means letting it ebb and flow without abandoning yourself. It's saying, I'm still here, even when it's messy. And this part matters more than we want to admit. Welcoming success also means letting go of the belief that you have to deserve it. You don't earn success by suffering enough first. You don't have to punish yourself for past attempts, and you don't have to prove you're worthy of feeling better. If something helps you, you're allowed to let it help you. So welcoming success might start really small, letting yourself feel proud for a full minute before brushing it off, not adding but to the end of a win. I see this all the time. My A1C was 6.8, but it's still high. I only lost 2 pounds this week. We add a qualifier so that we shrink our victories. We have to stop doing that. Let's own those accomplishments without the disclaimer attached to it. Welcoming success doesn't mean you won't struggle again. It means you stop pre-grieving outcomes that haven't happened yet. And especially with diabetes, that matters. When your body has felt unpredictable for a long time, learning to let things be good without immediately preparing for the fall is a skill. It's not a personality trait. It's not a mindset you either have or you don't. It is a skill, okay? So if you've ever noticed yourself pulling back when things were working, hear this. You're not broken or lazy or failing to have discipline. You're learning how to exist in a version of your life that doesn't revolve around constant struggle. And that takes time. Next time things start clicking, instead of asking, how long can I keep this up? Try asking something gentler. What if this doesn't have to mean forever? What if success doesn't have to feel heavy? What if I just stay here a little longer? You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need a money back guarantee. You don't need perfection. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop running when things start to work. All right, friends, that's it for today's episode of Sick of Pricks. If this conversation resonated with you, following the show, leaving a review, or sharing the episode is one of the easiest ways to support what I'm building here. And if you're craving connection beyond the podcast, my Facebook community, Sugar Mama Strong, is always open. It's a space for honest conversations, support that actually feels supportive, and showing up as you are, not as who you think you're supposed to be. You can also hang out with me on Facebook and Instagram for daily reminders, real talk, and a little encouragement when you need it most. Everything's linked in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.